Well, good morning. My name is Cameron. I'm a local blackberry grower. I'm also an engineer here at OnTarget. I'm going to go over electrostatic spraying, what that is, and the new stuff coming out with that. So the company OnTarget, we're located in Mount Angel, Oregon. Our owner is Willy Hartman. We only manufacture sprayers and exclusively electrostatic.
Cameron, can you put the mic on?
Okay.
It's not on.
Is it on? Is that just not close enough? There it is. Okay, so I guess the first question is, what is an electrostatic sprayer? If you're not familiar with it, it's essentially a sprayer that's going to use electricity to charge the liquid as it exits the nozzle. And that charged liquid is going to be attracted to the gram of plants that it's being sprayed at. And I guess the result is really uniform coverage with the least amount of material. It's really similar to powder coating. So if you're familiar with that, powder coating a car, it's going to be the exact same thing, but powder coating a plant. So I'm sure you guys, some who are older, probably have heard of electrostatic sprayers. There's some history there. Back in the past, probably in the 1950s, is when they first started introducing these to ag. It didn't go that well. There were some ups and some downs, and there's some manufacturers that aren't around anymore that started in the industry. But like all technology, it's taken a while to learn and improve. There is, I guess, kind of some of the designs that are out there. The older design from the 50s is a fan-style sprayer, where you're more whipping the droplets in the air that are charged. The newest technology that's came out, it's called air assist. It's basically using a blower, and so you're atomizing the droplets as they come out of the nozzle, and you're actually directing them right into the canopy instead of using a fan. So there's some advantages there. Probably we'll talk about it here in more slides. So what we have learned in this industry is that there's three principles that have to be met. Small droplets, uniform droplets, and slower moving air. Large droplets, it's difficult to charge a large droplet, and even when it does get charged, it's really hard. That mass is large, and that static charge has a hard time moving it and getting the wraparound effect to go behind leads. So small droplets are a must. Uniform droplets, there's a couple different reasons for that. One, you want all of your droplets to be in that range that they can actually be moved by the static charge. If you have a wide range of droplets, you're going to be wasting a lot of droplets. They're not going to be near as efficient. The second thing about uniform droplets is when each droplet's the same size and the same charge, and they are all charged positive, they're all going to equally repel each other. So what you have is a really uniform cloud coming out of your sprayer. And then each droplet's going to be looking for its own individual place on the plant. So if you look under like a microscope at this, it'll actually look like scales all over the plant. And then the last one is slower moving air. So if you've got too high a wind speed, your momentum of your droplet's just going to be too strong for your static charge to be able to actually do what it's trying to do. It'd be like if I took a magnet and set it on that table and then took another magnet and threw it as hard as I could over the top. There's an attraction there, but it's not a strong enough attraction to be able to overcome that momentum. So it's the same thing with these charged droplets. So now we're going to just watch a short video on our website. It just kind of illustrates these three things coming together.
We are OnTarget spray systems. Let's watch a demonstration of our electrostatic technology. In this first clip, we'll spray an apple for 4 seconds. We've applied water-sensitive paper to the back side of the apple to indicate coverage. Now we'll spray with our electrostatic manifold activated. The spray will now be electrostatically charged as it leaves the nozzle. As the spray adheres to the water-sensitive paper, you will see the color change from yellow to purple. The results speak for themselves. In 3.8 seconds, the OnTarget spray system was able to provide complete wraparound coverage to the backside of the apple, while the uncharged spray yielded little coverage, if any. Our sprayers allow growers to save time, water, fuel, material, and labor. How much time and money can your growing operation save? Results vary, but the savings can be significant.
So that video just does a nice job of illustrating, allowing us to actually see it. We actually have some of these, I don't know if we brought one today or not, probably not. We do these at trade shows. We'll actually just have one of those booths when we'll do this demonstration. And kind of the fun thing with the handheld unit is you can actually put your arm up next to it and just spray it without the electricity on, and then flip the switch and actually feel it wrap around your arm. Just on some recent research, so our good friends down at Oregon State have been playing with sprayers now for 2 years, 2015, 2016. Bond's been kind of heading it up. There's the project title. They've been doing it mostly blueberries. And they've been comparing a few of the sprayers and just looking at the results. So I just went ahead and copy pasted conclusions from their latest one from 2016. So I just kind of highlighted the ones that I thought were pretty significant for the electrostatic sprayers. And if you're reading that, I mean, basically the summary there is that the OnTarget electrostatic had a lot less aerial drift, so you didn't have spray just wafting off into the air. It had a lot less spray running off and just going into the ground, and you ended up having a lot more consistent coverage throughout the different sections of the canopies. So really that powder coating effect that we were talking about earlier. So I think they'll probably be doing this next year. They'll have a little bit more, but after 2 years, this is looking pretty good. Well, hopefully. I was hoping we could watch the videos, but I don't know if it's going to work or not. But we're just going to run through some of the crops and different sprayers that we have out there right now that we've got in the field. So we've got a lot of raspberry sprayers down in Mexico and California. Get a lot of these hoop houses down there, and they've got these tiny little tractors. So we make these pretty specific 35 gallons here in the raspberries. We also see these sometimes in really narrow vineyards. Here in blackberries, on the left, you see a 2-row blackberry sprayer. And then actually that 4-row GK sprayer is in the valley currently. I think there's 2 of them like that spraying blackberries. We did that last year. We've been doing a number of those. But you can cover a lot of ground in those GKs. When you're spraying low volume electrostatically, you're able to go a long ways with those big tanks and multi-row like that. We really got our start in grapes down in California. So there's an illustration, a couple grape sprayers. And if you look at that on the left there, that's about 15 gallons per acre. A lot of times it looks like a lot more because we have so many droplets. So we'll talk more about the pollen and some of the new stuff we're doing. But orchards, especially the bee trellises there on the left, up in Washington has been a booming market for us as of late. And then the pollen also has been kind of a new growing field for us. We do a lot of row crops down in California right now. Strawberries, a lot of the row crops are like kale, spinach. So we got a number of those, also Mexico. And then here in blueberries, we came up with a new overhead design that's kind of became the model that everybody that we're selling blueberry sprayers is getting. We got the nice little 2-row that's pretty easy, but then we've also been doing GK conversions for the blueberry guys, and I think we have 11 of those here in the Willamette Valley at the moment that are out in use. Built most of them within the last 5 years. So then I guess the question is what's the advantages? What's the point of having electrically charged water? The big thing is that you're able to do low volume really effectively. So it's one thing to just do low volume and just be throwing out less water, but it's another thing to be putting out less water and actually getting complete coverage. We're able to do that with the charge. So typically we're about 1/4 the amount of water that a conventional sprayer is going to be, down to 1/5. So when you're talking about time, you're able to go a long ways on one tank. If you've got like a 300 gallon and caneberries, you're going to go about 20 acres. I actually use one of these. We got a small field, like 2 acres. and that's about what I'm spraying is 15 gallons an acre. It works pretty well. The other thing is saving diesel, so getting away from the air fans and going to these blowers. This air assist has allowed us to lower the horsepower requirements are way lower. So a lot of guys are either using smaller tractors, which is helping them a lot in compaction, and then also some of these blueberries that get really big, they're able to get smaller tractors through there. The other thing is if you already have a tractor, most of these guys are running on an economy mode at this point, and running on like right at 1800 RPM and saving quite a bit on diesel. And we all know labor is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. So you can get through your fields faster and get more done in a day. You're going to save obviously money, but you're able to get other things done as well. And then minimizing drift. I've been going to the pesticide meetings lately, and I've been hearing it. Liability is becoming a bigger thing, and keeping your neighbors happy is becoming more and more important. So having that OSU study and being able to have a third party verify what we're saying is really nice. And then obviously another huge benefit is going to be the complete coverage. So for SWD control, we've been seeing the Driscoll Ryder Group has been budgeting money for their growers to be buying these sprayers, especially down in those hoop houses, but really all over. Specifically, really, it came about because of the SWD just not being able to get control of it, but now they are. And then with all the new organic production, these kind of sprayers have been really helping them out. That's actually what my field is, and so I kind of dabble in that a decent amount. But most of those chemicals, they're coming out with a lot of new stuff that's really great, but most of it's still pretty preventative at this point. So complete coverage is critical. You just don't have systemic sprays, so you've got to cover every portion. And then just in general, for boiler applications and just overall pest control, getting complete coverage is obviously super beneficial. Eliminating runoff. So because we got the light charges, kind of talked about that earlier, repelling, we don't get beat up and run off on the plants. We don't really get a lot of overspray. Most of the time, once an area is saturated, the droplets will just move on through the canopy and go and find their own spot to get around it. They're going to be repelling each other. And then saving material. So there's a couple things with that. One, you're not throwing chemical up in the air, and you're not throwing it all over the ground. You're putting it right where you want it, right where you're paying for it. And then if your label's calling for a % solution and you're spraying 15 gallons versus 100, that adds up pretty quick. So some of the new things that we've been doing here in the last couple of years have been these over-the-road conversions. Like I mentioned earlier, we've got about 11 of the GKs. This year we just started doing, we've noticed that there's been more of these Hagie self-propelled sprayers coming in. We had a grower down in Corvallis do his own conversion we supplied him the parts and he did it himself, and right now we've got one at our shop there in Mount Angel, and we're doing a conversion. It's going to go down to Munger Farms down in California. So that'll be kind of fun once we get the Hagie under our belt and get that one dialed in. So Pollen has been a new and growing thing for us as of late. So about 4 years ago, Washington State came up with a solution that keeps pollen viable in a liquid. You can keep it viable for a few hours. And so Washington State was part of kind of some trials for the first 2 years, spraying these in grower blocks. Last year was the third year, and the growers actually did it themselves commercially. The results have been higher than anybody really expected. We've got a large grower up there that last year was running, they had 2 of our sprayers that they were doing commercially, and this year they bought 18 sprayers. So the payoffs are pretty phenomenal for them. We're looking at new crops, going into some new crops actually right now down in California. We're holding our breath whether we get the same results. We think we should. But that's been a booming one, and there's a lot to learn in that. But so far the results are all coming back pretty good, so we're obviously on the right track. Another thing that we came out with just this winter was a low-profile orchard sprayer, so with the boom of hazelnuts and with almonds being as large as they are down in California. We went ahead and came up with a new boom style that is a low profile, and I think that's the one that I want to play. So went ahead and played with it a little bit this winter. The video here is in a huge old hazelnut orchard. I think they're around 35 feet tall. So this was just us with our demo prototype out there on a cold, windy morning playing. I apologize for the jerky cameraman, that was me. I'm not that great at it. So the other thing that's been kind of new in the last couple of years, and you guys may have heard rumblings about it, is this new substrate production that's coming out. They've been doing it in California, here in strawberries, but I've also been hearing in other meetings about blueberries in other parts of the world. So these are grown under hoop houses, and they grow them, and here's a couple pictures of them. You can see better than I can describe it. But it takes a pretty specific unit to be able to get in there, pretty narrow rows. So we built a couple of these now for growers for these new plots going in, and I expect to see more and more of them as this trend continues. So it's kind of interesting. I go to meetings and I listen and I wait to find out how it's going to affect me, and then we'll get some order for some unique design that we're supposed to come up with. So that's kind of one of those new ones. And then the last thing, this has kind of been my baby this past fall and winter, is this new 100-gallon self-contained unit. It's got a Honda motor on the front. This one was actually built, we built it for up in Washington for some of that pollination, but also for blueberries out there. They had some really large 9-foot tall under shade, so they needed a pretty specific unit. And they're pulling them with these small 2320 Kubotas. And at 100 gallons, they're able to go about 5 acres on this unit. So it's kind of a win-win for small growers. You don't need to have a large tractor. If you don't have one, you can probably use an ATV or an RTV to pull it. So that's kind of one of our newest ones. And then just some other news, I guess, for our company is we've got a new Oregon sales rep here locally. His name's Gavin Detler. He's sitting over there in the back. And then we also just hired a new service rep, Tucker Riff, here recently. He's going to be helping in the area, but then also wherever we have a need, we'll be kind of putting him in charge of some different projects. So one thing that we'd like to do, we haven't done as much in Oregon as we'd like. We've been a fairly small company, and as we grow, now we're able to kind of expand. California's been eating up a lot of our time, but now that our staff is growing, we're also trying to move in into our home territory here. So this summer or this spring, we'd like to set up some field days or demos for anybody who's interested. You know, come out and spray in some fields, spray with dye, whatever people would like to see, and get some people around the sprayer and seeing it in action. And then the other thing is I just wanted to extend the welcome. If you guys are ever down in Mount Angel, next to Leona's, that's where our shop is. If you ever want to pop in, see what we're up to, check out our showroom, you're always welcome. So does anybody have any questions about OnTarget or electrostatic spraying?
Are you seeing limitations if the wind picks up out in our fields? I mean, I can see how it really works. I know it really works good when there's no winds.
Yeah.
And they're pushing it, but you've got that small molecule, and then if we start getting 5 to 10 mile an hour winds, is that a problem?
So what I've noticed is, it depends on how the boom is set up. The 2-row booms do pretty well in heavier winds, just because it's coming from both sides, so it's not as effective as much. My sprayer is a single row, so generally once I get over 6 miles an hour, I'm going to start having a little bit more trouble. That's, for the most part, it can handle a little wind. Once you get, I would say 6 plus, if you're running like a single row, and you're fighting wind, you're gonna have trouble. If you're running that 2-row style where you're coming from both sides, it doesn't affect this near as much. Some of those blueberry booms, if you're probably in higher winds and you're coming over the top, it's going to be a little more susceptible. It is a small drop, so you do kind of have to weigh that in. The cane bears are kind of nice because you're down and inside, so you're a little more protected, especially if you're coming in from both sides. Both sides I don't see near as many problems as like if you're just running a single row, because then you don't have any help from the other side.
So for the pollen, is this sort of a mitigation for the problems with the lack of bees being available?
Yeah, exactly. So up there in Washington, some of the issues.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. So the question was, is this pollination basically to help mitigate some of the issues we're having with bees, kind of here all over, and that's kind of the case up there. What would often happen, I guess in cherries, it sounded like it was a once in every 4 years is basically when they made their money, and the issues a lot of times were around the weather, but then also having the weather and the bees line up at the same time. So there'd be years that all the pollinators and all the regular trees would be opening up at the same time. Everything would be perfect, and then it would cool down and the bees wouldn't move. So then they'd be sitting there watching nothing happen. And so this is allowing them to go out there and when the blooms are perfect, just go and hit them, and not really have to worry about weather so much being a factor.
Just to follow up on that, do they collect the pollen the year before and freeze it? Or how do they get the pollen when the flowers are open?
So I believe that the pollen has a 9-month lifespan, and so I think they're actually just going from different regions and they're just following the growing seasons and picking it. It also depends on the variety too. So the earlier varieties, they pick it and then they're using it for the later. I'm not going to try to be a pollen expert, but there's pollinating companies that actually handle all of that, and we just work with them then.
My question was kind of along those lines as well. Collecting pollen can be quite costly, so I wondered about the cost effectiveness of this. Clearly, if it's their only option, I see why they want to go with that, but have they mentioned that to you?
Actually, that's a good question. Right now, it's fairly cheap per acre. I believe it's, don't quote me on this, somewhere around $100 to $160 an acre to apply pollen, and at the yield increases they're getting, they're
Not to apply it, to collect it,
yeah,
to get the pollen.
that's the actual cost of the grower is 100 to 160. So they go in there and they thin a lot anyways, and so I think what's happening is they're getting the groups that are thinning and they're just having them save it, since they're in there.
Your 3 rules for electrostatic spraying are kind of the exact opposite of one of your competitors. So I'm curious where those 3 rules came from. Are they your own? Did they come from a study? And then have you gone up head-to-head and coverage tests with any other electrostatic sprayers, especially one that's using the opposite set of rules, high wind, larger droplets?
That's a great question. All of that has been through our own research, kind of what we found works, what doesn't. I know that we have done head-to-head. It's probably been before my time. I've been with the company 2 years. I could probably find out. We could probably do one. If people are interested in that, they have one available.
Maybe this June?
There were issues with the label wording as far as going into low volumes like this. Are there still issues ongoing with some of the label writing?
So 10 years ago, that was a pretty big issue, was how the labels were written, especially with low volume. In the last 10 years, that's pretty much disappeared. Almost every label gives you a caveat to do what you want. There is still a handful out there that I've heard of. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it's been, I think I've heard of like one grower telling me that they had an issue with that. But for the most part, every time I read my labels and go through it, there's always wordage in there to allow you to basically do what you need to do.
Yeah, to give to convert a GK or a Handy sprayer, 5 rows, what kind of ballpark cost are you talking for blackberries and or blueberries? I don't know, is it set up differently for the 2?
Well, the blueberries, you can set the blueberry up as down in the row as a blackberry also. Most of the time, people just like the overhead because it's easier to turn. The costs are gonna be fairly close, other than that the Blackberry is probably gonna have a little bit more of a boom support for it. The conversion, the whole package is right around 50,000, I believe. That's just ballpark, obviously